In this podcast episode, Joe Rogan sits down with comedian Jeff Ross for an in-depth conversation covering a wide range of topics. They discuss their shared love of dogs, the evolving comedy scene, personal health battles, the intricacies of working in the entertainment industry, relationships, nutrition, and life philosophies. The conversation flows naturally from lighthearted anecdotes about pets and show business to deeper reflections on health, resilience, and the value of process and community. Jeff Ross and Joe Rogan start by talking about their dogs and how canine companions bring joy and structure to their lives. Jeff shares about his two dogs, a golden retriever and a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel rescue named Nuppy, a spirited German Shepherd mix from the desert, trained for a theatrical production. He vividly describes her high energy, intelligence, and need for constant activity, comparing her to an athlete and recounting adventures of training and performing with her. Joe adds his own stories about his dog Marshall, highlighting the affection and ritualistic bond they share. He mentions the dog's playful nature, love of belly rubs, and sensitivity to emotional states. They discuss how dogs, especially intelligent working breeds like German Shepherds, require meaningful tasks to stay balanced, emphasizing how dogs serve as loyal, emotional companions who offer unconditional love and bring positivity to daily life. Both emphasize how dogs serve as family, provide comfort, and encourage a healthier, more disciplined lifestyle. Jeff and Joe talk about the comedy show Kill Tony, highlighting its remarkable impact on the comedy world. They praise Tony Hinchcliffe's ability to blend open mics, roasts, personality, and community building into a thriving platform that has launched numerous successful comedians like Adam Ray. Jeff praises the supportive environment, likening Tony to a modern-day Johnny Carson, and celebrates the camaraderie among comedians. They reflect on how comedy is flourishing, describing the brotherhood and kindness within the community that offers encouragement and creative collaboration rather than bitterness. Jeff recounts his experience attending and performing at the Mothership Comedy Club, emphasizing the familial atmosphere among comics and their shared commitment to the craft despite challenges. The conversation underscores the value of supporting up-and-coming talent and the joy of being part of a creative tribe. Jeff opens up about his recent battle with colon cancer, discussing his diagnosis, treatment, and recovery. He shares how a routine colonoscopy revealed a stage 3 tumor, which prompted immediate surgery and chemotherapy. Despite the severity, Jeff conveys a positive outlook and a sense of survival. He discusses the changes he's made in his lifestyle post-cancer, including adopting a cleaner diet, reducing red meat and processed foods, and cutting back on alcohol. They delve into Jeff's experiences with alopecia, an autoimmune condition that caused rapid hair loss, including eyebrows and eyelashes. He recounts the emotional challenge of losing his hair and coping with the changes in appearance, as well as the medications he tried that suppressed his immune system but were ultimately too risky after his cancer diagnosis. This segment explores the impact of chronic illness on identity and the resilience it demands. Expanding on health, the discussion turns to the importance of diet and inflammation in autoimmune conditions. Jeff and Joe emphasize that nutrition plays a critical role in the body's ability to heal and maintain balance. They critique the modern medical establishment's lack of focus on nutrition and highlight how processed foods laden with preservatives, sugars, and additives contribute to inflammation and disease. They compare human diet to that of dogs, advocating for fresh, whole foods over preservatives and processed items. Both share personal insights about consuming real food and advocate for diets rich in nutrient-dense components like meats, vegetables, and natural fats. The conversation touches on ketogenic principles, intermittent fasting, and the benefits of reducing carbohydrate dependence, explaining how adapting the body to burn fat can improve energy and brain function. Jeff offers insider perspectives on his extensive career in comedy, including his time producing and performing at roasts and on television shows. They reminisce about the evolution of comedy roasts from the Friars Club era to their recent prominence on platforms like Netflix, highlighting the relaxed content restrictions that allow for edgier, raw material that audiences crave. The conversation includes anecdotes about working with iconic comedians such as Patrice O'Neal and Bob Saget, expressing deep respect for their influence and mourning their passing. Jeff describes roast culture as an old-school comedic skill that he's helped preserve and modernize. They also touch on the challenges of maintaining creativity over decades in the business, discussing the mental demands of creating new material and the process of taking breaks to recharge creatively. The hosts dip into stories involving well-known figures, including Kevin Spacey, Charlie Sheen, Sean Penn, Tom Brady, and Taylor Swift. They discuss the controversies surrounding Spacey, especially his fall from grace due to allegations and how his trajectory differs within different communities. Charlie Sheen's chaotic yet resilient career is explored, with Jeff recounting his time touring with Sheen during his Torpedo of Truth phase and how Sheen's open honesty about addiction was unprecedented. Sean Penn's journalistic adventure meeting El Chapo and his activism in Ukraine are praised, highlighting Penn's fearless and unconventional approach to life and art. The conversation also notes Tom Brady's comeback, his involvement in sports flagship events, and his recent emergence in comedy roasts aimed at bringing levity back to the scene after a fraught period of cancel culture. Taylor Swift's public relationships and how fame adds pressure to personal life are briefly discussed, as well as a recent incident involving Justin Timberlake's leaked DUI video. Jeff shares his frustrations with homeowners associations, describing restrictive rules and petty conflicts involving fence regulations, tree trimming disputes, and invasive neighbors. He tells stories of neighbors trying to control others' property choices and even poisoning dogs to assert dominance in community disputes. He vents about the absurdity and power struggles that arise from such regulations and his decision never to live in a community governed by a homeowners association again. This segment connects to broader themes of personal freedom, control, and the human tendency toward nitpicking and micromanagement. It also stands in contrast to the freedom and connection found within the comedy and dog-owning communities they discussed earlier. The conversation shifts to Jeff's background in Taekwondo and martial arts, sharing stories from childhood and how the discipline instilled confidence and self-respect. Jeff talks about achieving his black belt, participating in competitions, and the physical and mental benefits of martial arts practice. Joe encourages Jeff to consider taking classes again as a way to enhance health, balance, and mental clarity. They also discuss yoga's value for meditation, body control, and calmness, with Joe sharing his practice with fellow comedian Tony Hinchcliffe. Exercise and maintaining physical activity emerge as essential aspects of maintaining longevity and staying mentally balanced. Jeff and Joe reflect on the vibrant comedy landscape enhanced by platforms like podcasts. They discuss how podcasts allow comedians to explore nuanced conversations, preserve legacies of late comedians such as Brody Stevens and Gilbert Gottfried, and foster greater understanding of the comedy world beyond the stage. They highlight the communal aspect of comedy, the bond among performers, and how digital platforms contribute to the art's evolution while preserving history. There's a recognition that comedy is both a craft and a family, enriched by shared stories and experiences. The hosts talk candidly about the demands of the entertainment industry, including Jerry's experience on shows like News Radio and Fear Factor. Jeff shares the grueling work schedules, challenges of sustaining creativity, and navigating career decisions between projects he loves and those he takes on for financial reasons. They recount behind-the-scenes stories from shows such as Fear Factor, including reckless stunts like drinking donkey urine leading to the show's cancellation. The conversation illustrates the risk and chaos often involved in entertainment productions and the balance between creative passion and commercial realities. Throughout the podcast, a subtle but present reflection on mortality, loss, and legacy underscores the conversation. Jeff and Joe discuss having lost many friends and peers in the comedy world and how these losses shape their perspectives on life and work. They examine the importance of appreciating the moment, enjoying the creative process, and recognizing that there is no ultimate finish line. Jeff's tattoo of a banana as a symbol of perseverance and his upcoming show about resilience, Take a Banana for the Ride, encapsulate this philosophy. This outlook values embracing life fully, learning from past hardships, and continuing to move forward despite setbacks. The conversation briefly touches on the frustrations with social media, the value of candid connection through platforms like FaceTime over superficial online interactions, and strategies for dealing with negativity online. Jeff advocates for post and ghost, sharing what's important and then disengaging, while recounting advice from Bob Saget about blocking haters to preserve peace of mind. They share a mutual respect for authentic, personal communication in a digital age where discourse often becomes toxic and distracted. Returning to the topic of dogs, Jeff and Joe discuss parallels between human and canine nutrition, underscoring the benefits of feeding pets real, fresh food rather than processed kibble. They observe how dogs naturally respond with excitement to healthier diets and how this reflects broader lessons applicable to human diets. They dive deep into the impact of preservatives, sugar, and processed foods on gut health and the immune system, concluding that consuming whole, nutrient-dense foods is vital for both humans and their animals. Jeff shares how nutritional choices have direct consequences on well-being, advocating for education around vitamins, supplements, and balanced eating. Finally, they discuss the resurgence and evolution of celebrity roasts on platforms like Netflix. Jeff shares excitement about an upcoming roast featuring Kevin Hart and Shane Gillis, celebrating how streaming services remove traditional content restrictions and allow comedians more creative freedom. They praise the recent popularity of roasts as bringing back a raw, unfiltered style of comedy that contrasts with earlier eras dominated by political correctness and censorship. Jeff reflects on the enduring legacy of roasts, their power to elevate comedians' careers, and their role in reinvigorating public appetite for edgy humor. Jeff and Joe revisit Jeff's experiences in acting, especially his time on news radio, sharing how working with talents like Phil Hartman was a treasured experience. Jeff confesses that after such a peak, he found little interest in pursuing other acting roles and prefers focusing on stand-up and producing, valuing creative control and authentic expression. They also share anecdotes about the challenges and surprises of working on TV, reminding listeners of the often grueling reality behind seemingly glamorous careers. Jeff recounts his history performing for troops overseas, starting in 2003 with Drew Carey, and noting the unique experiences and honor of entertaining service members in active zones. He praises the gratefulness of military audiences and expresses how these tours bring meaning and fulfillment to his work as a comedian. They briefly comment on the inadequacies of military food and the importance of supporting troops with proper nutrition, tying back into earlier discussions about diet and well-being. Throughout the episode, the warm friendship between Joe and Jeff shines through. They openly share stories, vulnerabilities, and joys, illustrating the importance of community and connection, whether with fellow comedians, loyal pets, or audiences. They value honesty, loyalty, and shared experience as central to their lives and creative pursuits, positioning comedy as a unique and supportive family. Jeff talks about tattoos that hold deep personal meaning, including his banana tattoo, symbolizing his grandfather's encouragement and resilience through hard times. These personal emblems reflect the themes of endurance and connection to family that run throughout Jeff's narrative and comedy. They discuss how tattoos serve as reminders and motivators, embedding life lessons in their daily existence. The duo touch on the rich legacy of Canadian comedians like Jim Carrey, Martin Short, John Candy, and others, recognizing their distinctive humor and impact on comedy as a whole. They also mention modern internet-driven comedians such as Kyle Dunnigan, whose viral face swap videos have revitalized interest in impressionist comedy. This segment highlights the diverse sources of inspiration and change within comedy, from traditional icons to new media sensations. In numerous moments, Jeff and Joe reflect on how comedy serves as a societal mirror, a unifying force, and a way to cope with life's hardships. Through roasts, stand-up, and podcasts, comedians challenge norms, build community, and offer relief. They acknowledge the pressures, cancellations, and controversies that have shaped the contemporary comedy landscape, but remain optimistic about the art form's vibrancy and essential role. They briefly discuss coffee preferences, sharing humorous frustrations with big chain coffee experiences, and the importance of drinking coffee the right way to avoid harmful plastic exposure. This lighthearted segment ties into broader conversations about health and lifestyle choices. Toward the end, the importance of enjoying the creative process over fixating on endpoints emerges as a major theme. Jeff and Joe agree that success has no final finish line and that continuous personal growth and creative exploration are what sustain them. They advocate embracing the journey, trusting the process, and finding fulfillment in daily work and connection. This philosophy underscores much of their approach to comedy, health, and life.